opens up a very important part of your profession, and that is joining the AIA, the American Institute of Architects. As an intern, before you're licensed, our local chapter here in Chicago has a program where you can get free membership for a year after you graduate from college, and take advantage of that.
And there's all sorts
it's not
of
very much money, even after that year is up. It's still not very much money to continue your membership. But the advantage of being a member of the AIA is that you get to meet a lot of people.
Yes, networking. There's a lot of opportunities. There's often they have study guides for the A.R.E. Often,
Sure.
There's all sorts of things.
Virtually, there's something going on here in Chicago every night.
Lectures. There's all kinds of different things happening. Yeah.
That
Marc?
kind of ties in nicely here to a question that Travis just asked. Is there a resource online where he can go to find a mentor in his area? I mean, I think actually what you just said, maybe joining your local AIA chapter is
Sure.
a good place to start. I don't know if there are any online resources.
No, there aren't. Some states, I've heard by attending our advisor conference on a yearly basis, some states have tried to implement this program where they get people to sign up for mentors and they place them with interns. We don't do that here in Illinois. I made an attempt to do that. I had a meeting with potential mentors a few years ago at the AIA, and we had about 10 people show up for that. And they all pledged that they would be mentors. So I had a list of people that I could assign. The problem is, I find, not so much that there's a shortage of mentors, but there's a lack of interest or not interest so much as a lack of courage on interns' parts to approach a mentor.
To make it happen.
And because they have to make some kind of move in that direction. Mentors aren't going to come to you.
Right.
You're going to have to go to the mentor.
Yeah, but I think a good way to start is to go to your local AIA chapter. There's going to be somebody there who this is a big deal to, and they'll be able to get you connected to local folks. And any way that you can do any sort of networking is like you can find mentors along the way as well, just by being sort of open to it when you're talking to people at different firms, when you go to lectures, and like there's ways to kind of make it happen even outside of the realm of the AIA, but that's certainly a good place to start.
Or if you have a professor in college that you're particularly like that professor, perhaps, you can ask them to also serve as your mentor. That would be another opportunity.
Yeah, and they also often will have a fairly large network of people themselves, and they'll know kind of who you are and who the other people in their circle are. So there's a lot of connections get made. That actually happens. I do that all the time with folks, actually.
Mm-hmm. Mike, did you ever meet Robert Rosenfeld from NCARB?
I did, yes.
Rob was the legendary head of the IDP. He was the first head of IDP. A lot of what IDP is today is a result of Rob's hard work in this area. And Rob used to talk about his mentorship program that he ran. And what he would do is he would go to the universities, this is in Washington, D.C. area, so he'd go to the local universities and interview for mentees.
Right.
So he would have people come to his office. He'd set up an office somewhere at the school. He'd have people come in, and he would ask them what they were, interested in, whether they wanted to be a mentee of his. And he would pick 12 out of that group, and they would meet on a monthly basis. They would go various places. They would have potluck dinners at his house or somebody else's house. And it sounded like a great program.
They'd also go look at like some buildings and things as well. They do like field trips and things.
Field trips. And I wish that there was a way of institutionalizing that. He had that program, and he was trying to encourage other people to start a program just like it.
Well, one of the things I throw out to the people listening is, set it up. Go to your local AIA, say, hey, I heard about this great idea. I think we should make that happen. Become the go-to person for it, and that'll get you networked all over the place. People will be very impressed if you can make that happen.
At Triton College, we had a program called Dinner with an Architect that was once a month. And the architects who were in the Triton College district would volunteer to, at their own home, have our students come and talk to them.
Yeah.
And they would have dinner. It sounded like a great program. I never attended one of those, but I heard from the students that they thought it was just wonderful.
That sounds like a great idea.
You could do that, Mike.
I actually have done similar things, not quite under that name, but I've had many students over to my house, which is a wreck right now because we're about to go under construction. But there you go. So just regarding the IDP, so we looked at one example here on the screen that has a bunch of hours associated with it, but it is actually going through a little bit of a change. So it's still essentially the same kind of concept, but they're kind of grouping it a little bit differently. I believe that's going to be as of probably after that June meeting that you were talking about.
These 6 groups that you see here: practice management, project management, programming and analysis, project planning and design, project development and documentation, and construction and evaluation. Those 6 groups of experience are exactly the same 6 groups that the new exam will be based on.
Right, so they're kind of streamlining the process
Right.
to make things more connected from one.
So
to
you're
the
going
other.
from 17 experience areas down to 6. You're going from 7 divisions of the exam down to 6, and that's going to happen next year.